Hey y'all, this is week 3, getting ahead of depression. Quick recap on last week. Last week was okay. Monday through Friday was an okay week. I was very intentional about going to bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest. I had my tea in the mornings, my tea in the evenings. I did my 2 mile walks 5 days last week. Woo, go me. Um, and yeah, it was pretty good. I want to say by Saturday, I was completely exhausted. Um, and I was trying to figure out why. One of the things that I did notice was that Monday through Friday, I was so focused on being in control, um, to the point of where I started to miss certain things. I wanted to be in control so much so that I didn't fall into a depressive state. Um, because, with that being the fear, right? Um, for those of you guys who have been in a situation where control was present, um, you know that once you recognize what it is that you were in, and once you get back your control, I don't know about you, but I held on tight to making sure I was in control of everything. Um, any type of inkling that I felt people were trying to exert control over me, like I would completely shut down and I would lock up. And so I do my fist like this because this is exactly how it feels when you're trying to be in control of something, and you don't want to release it to anybody else because that was a traumatic time for me. Um, with last week in particular, I realized that trying to be in control instead of trusting the process and where God has placed me right here in this moment and in this season, um, it was definitely eye-opening. Um, I can see why I was exhausted by Saturday, because doing this for a period of time, if you just continue to do this, everything is tired by the time you know are able to release. If you're gripping yourself, you see how my fingers turning red and everything. So just imagine gripping myself like this from Monday to Friday until God comes in and says, you know what, I need you to release and let go. Um, Releasing and letting go is very scary for me. Um, and it's something that I've had to work on and recognize. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, releasing control is something that I have struggled with. Um, I've gotten better at it, but I do feel like, again, when it comes to moments where I feel like something's coming up or I see a trauma trigger, starting to brew, I will start to do this. I recognize that I did that all last week. And it wasn't until I sat down during my reflection on Saturday, just spending time with God, and He was like, "You gotta let go." Um, so in that moment, I prayed, I surrendered, and I said, God, I give it to you. I'm trusting the process. This is part of the process. This is the season He has me in, is trusting that He's prepared me for this season. I could be in a situation where I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know what the trauma triggers were. I could have found myself, being in the same space as I was 3 years ago. But the beauty in it is that for the last 3 years, He has literally prepared me and guided me through everything that I needed you know, to know everything that, the people that needed to be in place for me to support me during this time. And He's really had my back in it. And so I can say at this moment that I have surrendered this to God. I'm going to go into this week with letting Him guide my footsteps, and not holding on like this. Once I was able to release, I was able to breathe. I felt lighter. I didn't feel the tension. I didn't feel like I was on guard. I didn't, last week it was just, even though I was intentional about getting everything done, that control still had me kind of going into a hypersensitive mode. It had me going into a hovering mode for my children. It had me going into a reclusive mode where it was like, being inside was safe. And so I recognize that being in control also brings in those trauma triggers for me. And so being able to recognize that, I thank God that He allowed me to understand that during my reflection. And this week we are working on releasing and letting go. So I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you for just being a part of my journey and supporting me.